Having been an amateur prankster, I always asked myself this question. I would always try to take my pranks a little further and make excuses that the other person didn't have my sense of humor. I usually felt foul of this, but I didn't care. As long as it was funny to me, I would go along with the joke. But one day, making jokes caught the attention of the wrong people, and after what happened that night, I decided to retire from jokes for good. That day, I realized what happens when you prank the wrong person. It all started one night in March. My best friend and I had a YouTube channel where we used to prank people on the street at night. The prank was pretty simple. We would wait for someone to pass by the park at night, and while Ethan was filming, I would come out of a bush disguised as a monster and give them the scare of their life. Some would take it with humor, some would get angry, and some, terrified, would run away. These last ones were the ones we knew in the final recording of the video, as they were undoubtedly the funniest. It was a slow day. People were not showing up, so we agreed that for the first few that did come, I should give them the scare of their lives. We waited a little longer. When a couple finally showed up, I knew I had it easy. Surely both would run desperately. Maybe even the man would leave the couple behind and everything would be filmed. It was going to be fantastic. When he comes out dressed as a clown, I was prepared for the screams, but they never came. Instead, the man rammed me with all his might, and while he held me down, the couple put a plastic bag over my head and tied my hands. I heard new voices of men running in my direction and covering me. I also heard Ethan screaming in the back. Were they doing something to him too? A few seconds later, I heard two men's voices near me. Both of them were lifting me up. I tried to use all my strength to pull myself up, but it was impossible. Both people left me in the back of a car, and shortly after I heard the trunk close, the car accelerated. The trip was long and arduous. I tried to kick, I tried to scream, but I gave up in despair and I cried. Nothing had worked. After several minutes of driving, I recognized that we arrived at a house, and the men transported me again. This time, they were coming down a staircase, and I instantly knew they were dropping me off in a basement. When we arrived, they carefully set me down on the floor and took my bag from me.
Please, let me go. I didn't even see your faces. Please, I don't want to die. My family has no money to pay a ransom.
That's very rude. Look at us. We don't have any plans to let you go away.
What? What will you do with me?
Don't be impatient. You'll know soon enough. Once this was said, they turned off the lights and left the basement, leaving me all alone, plunged into extreme darkness. After several hours, I was able to fall asleep. As I fell asleep, I dreamed of my family, my pets, and my friends. Poor Ethan. He was probably going through what I was going through, and it was all my fault. This was my idea. I cried inconsolably all night until I fell asleep again. When I woke up, the lights were on again. In front of me were the two men who had brought me in, but there were also two new faces. One of them was a huge, curly, tall man. The man was wearing a leather face mask, the killer from the classic horror movie who uses a chainsaw, which from what I could see, he also had on hand. But the one who caught my attention the most was the man who, tied up, was next to him.
Ethan? Mark, I'm scared. I don't want to die. Stay calm. We'll be fine. Someone will come rescue us. Mark, I think I'm gonna die. Don't say that. You know how your mom is. She's probably worried sick, calling all the cops in the area. They'll come to rescue us just because they can't stand her. I'm scared. Ethan, I'm sorry about this. This was all my fault. No, it was their fault. They kidnapped us. They brought us here. Don't ever feel guilty for something you didn't do.
Well, guys, as entertaining as this has been, we also have our own audience to amuse. Bubba, do it. After the order, the tall man grabbed Ethan and placed him inside the locker. After closing it, he turned on the chainsaw and without much effort began to cut through the locker with his saw.
Ethan, no!
Oh my god, your reaction. Priceless.
You're sick!
Your turn, little Mark. Between several men, they lifted me up and put me on top of a table. It was full of different knives, one bigger than the next. You know, we'll take our time with you. Since there's no one to react to your death, you will do it. You, with your own eyes, are going to see how we take out your organs before you die. You will react to your own death. Isn't it fantastic?
Why are you doing this to me?
Because you love to play with other people's reactions. You're a prankster. So are we, in our own way.
This isn't a joke. This is murder.
Oh? I think you just don't understand our sense of humor. Having said that, the man raised one of the knives and started to slowly bring it closer to me. I was surrendered to what the man would do to me. I could only cry and wait for my death. Hey, Mark. It's just a prank, bro.
What?
At that instant, everyone in the room started laughing frantically. The man in the leather face mask took off his mask and laughed too. The locker where Ethan had died suddenly opened, and with a splinter of laughter, my friend walked out unharmed. As I paid attention, I realized that it was not a locker, it was a door. Relax, my friend, we're pranksters, just like you. In this channel, we're in charge of teaching a lesson to the people who make bad jokes, and you were the perfect target.
I'm sorry, dude. When they contacted me and told me everything, I couldn't just say no. The idea was phenomenal.
Your parents, your siblings, and all your friends also know about this, and they agreed. It seems that they all thought you needed a lesson.
No,
Hey, dude, are you okay?
no, this is not a joke. I'm sure they're still torturing me.
Hey, calm down, Mark. It's over. You're safe.
No, you're not Ethan. They're torturing me, but I will not be fooled.
Blinded by anger and still very confused, I grabbed one of the knives next to me and stabbed the kidnapper. The laughter in the room faded away. Everyone was shocked.
I want to go home. 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 No, Mark! What have you done?
At that moment, I don't remember anything else about the situation. Only that when I heard Ethan, I rushed to him and stabbed him too. After that, it was all screams. Everyone who was there started running. I stabbed one or two more. The rest ran away. Everything that happened at that moment is really very confusing. And after that, I don't remember anything. It's like I had a blackout. After that, the police caught me, and sometime later, I ended up here. A lot of people think I'm here because I'm crazy, and maybe I am, but I'm going to recover. Ethan will soon come and tell them it was all a joke. I'm sure those knives were fake, the blood was fake, and it was all part of their joke. I'm sure they planned it too. I'm innocent. I didn't do anything. I am the victim. You will see. Soon they will come to tell me that it was all a joke. I was sitting in my room scrolling through Netflix's new release list. I was dying for something new to watch, something that would really get my heart racing. I finally settled on a horror movie that looked promising and settled in for a good scare. Lately, I hadn't been getting enough of a scare from movies. They all seemed so fake and staged, but this one looked different. It was a found footage movie, and I love those because they always feel more real. I was halfway into the movie when I really started getting into it. Suddenly, however, I looked down at my phone and realized that I got a text message. At first, I thought it was my friend, but then I saw that it was from my Netflix account. I needed to reset my password for some reason. I clicked on the link and went through the process of resetting my password. A little note popped up, telling me my reset had been successful. I set my phone down and resumed the movie. But soon, I started to feel uneasy, and I didn't think it was coming from the movie itself. I've watched hundreds of horror movies, from 1930s Dracula, Psycho, The Shining, and Silence of the Lambs, but this felt different. I felt a chill run down my spine. It felt like someone was watching me. but that was obviously crazy since I live alone. I slowly turned my head to the door of my room, half expecting to see a masked killer standing there, but there was nothing. I shook my head and chalked it up to being jumpy from the movie and settled back in, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I sighed to myself, annoyed at how silly I was being. Still, I paused the movie and got up to check all the locks on my doors and windows, even though I knew they were all secure. I tried to tell myself that I was just being a paranoid wuss and decided to finish the movie. The credits were rolling when I heard a noise coming from outside my window. My head turned at the sound and I slowly got up. Those raccoons better not have gotten into my trash again. I swear I was going to call animal control. As I looked out though, I noticed my trash cans were untouched. What caught my eye instead was a strange shadow next to my neighbor's house. I looked at it for a few minutes, trying to figure out what it was. Then, I saw it move. It was too big to be a raccoon. I could see the glint of moonlight off of something in its hand, and my heart started pounding in my chest. I was frozen in place, not knowing what to do. Then, it turned and looked directly at me, and I could see the outline of its body. It looked like the outline of a human, but he must have been wearing a mask. I couldn't see his eyes, but I could feel them staring at me through the darkness. I'm just dreaming. I went to bed and I must be experiencing some weird lucid dream right now. My head seemed to believe I was in some lucid dream, but my body didn't think so. I stood there, frozen, staring at what seemed to be the man half hidden in the shadows. The man, or whatever it was, started walking towards my house, and I could see him getting closer and closer. My heart started pounding in my chest, and I could feel the blood rushing through my veins. I kept telling my body to move, to go back to bed, and I'd wake up from this weird dream.
Hey, have you heard of Misplay?
No, what's Misplay?
It's a loyalty app where you earn actual rewards by playing mobile games.
Whoa, how does Misplay work?
Easy! Download Misplay from the Google Play Store.
Done.
Now, play a game you like to start earning units.
What do you do with the units?
You redeem units for gift cards.
Oh, I love Misplay already.
Misplay, for rewards that go beyond the game.
I see this game all the time, and it's time to see if it's fake or not. Alright guys, let's do this thing. Looks like you have to shoot barrels and get upgrades. Okay, nice. Yeah, that's how it works. So I got a better gun now, and I see a bike. That might be crazy. Let's see if it works. Okay, I just completely missed it. And now it's already getting chaotic. Can I get more soldiers? Okay, nice. Now we have 3. This is going to be a lot better. Can I get a car? I missed it. Oh my gosh, and I just lost a soldier. We need the big guy. We need the big guy. Nice. I'm going crazy. I think we got this. Wait, -1. No. Oh no, it's just me now, and there's a lot coming my way. Okay, wait. I just got a bunch of zombies out of the way. Oh, it's over. If you want to try Last War, download it today.
The figure was now at my window, and suddenly I could see their face clearly. He wasn't wearing a mask. His face was disfigured, barely recognizable as a human. His eyes were slightly lopsided, and a large chunk of his face looked like it was missing. He was grinning at me, a sick, twisted grin that sent chills down my spine. He raised his hand, and I could see that he was holding some sort of curved knife. It was a sickle, something that would be unmistakable to any horror addict. I rushed backward, tripping over the edge of my bed and landing with a thud on the floor. The man at the window just kept grinning at me, his sickle raised in the air. In a sudden panic, I scrambled to my feet and ran to the door of my room, throwing it open and sprinting into the kitchen. Dream or not, I needed to have some sort of weapon. I always hated when people in movies would just run around aimlessly. I yanked open the drawer and grabbed a small, but still useful kitchen knife. I could hear the man, or whatever it was, scratching at my window.
What the heck? What the?
I looked around, trying to formulate some sort of plan. I knew I didn't have the upper hand here. There was no way I could fight him. He was twice my size, and from the looks of his face, he knew how to use a weapon.
Okay, calm down. Just think. What would Elm Street Freddy do in a situation like this?
I racked my brain, trying to think of some sort of solution. I didn't have any answers. Suddenly, however, the scratching at the window stopped. I stood still, not even breathing as I waited. Was he gone? I felt my heart plummet as I heard the man start to bang on the door. Get it together! Get it together! I kept whispering harshly to myself, trying to force myself to think of something. The thuds grew louder. He must have been kicking at the door now. Suddenly, however, reality hit me. How could I have been so dumb? I needed my phone. I needed to call 911. I got up and ran to my bedroom, desperately trying to reach my phone, just as the door to my apartment burst open. He rushed at me and grabbed my shirt with his blade. I felt the sharp edge slice through my skin, and I cried out in pain. The man lifted me up with one hand and slammed me against the wall. The man just grinned at me, his eyes filled with a sickening hunger. Please, please just let me go! The man didn't say anything. He just kept grinning at me, his knife raised in the air, ready to strike again. I was gonna die. There was no way out of this. No wonder horror movies always depicted the main character as slow and dumb. I was the same way. I had been so stupid for not trying to reach my phone sooner. The man brought his knife down and I closed my eyes, waiting for the end. You think I'd let you die that easily? I didn't hack into your phone for nothing. I slowly opened my eyes and saw the man grinning wickedly, his face barely inches from mine. What are you talking about? I mean, I would have hacked into your phone for your location and IP address for an easy hunt. The fun has just begun. I saw his hand rise again and brought the hilt of his sickle down toward my face. Then I saw black. I jolted awake, seeing the credits rolling. I groaned. I must have fallen asleep. What a dream. I slowly stood up, feeling disoriented. As I walked to the window, however, my heart dropped. The window was covered in scratch marks, as if made by a blade. Do you think you can find love on a social network? Many of the people I talk to tell me yes, but others disagree. I don't really have an answer, but I'll be honest. After what I experienced that night, I really don't want to try. It all started the day a girl added me on Snapchat. Her name was Cheryl. The girl was very nice, and she had a huge amount of followers. I was just learning how to use the platform, so I didn't understand how this girl could be interested in me, but at the same time, those were just numbers. Over time, I started to become more active on the platform and began to attract Cheryl's attention. She would like my photos, and over time, we started talking to each other. When I would talk to her, I would realize why she had added me before. Despite her huge number of followers, the girl was simple and authentic. She wasn't interested in being famous at all. She just liked the idea of connecting with people. She sent me pictures of herself all the time, and I did the same. We talked all day and knew everything about each other. After 3 months, we were almost in a relationship, but as I was getting ready to take her out to a movie, something weird happened. One day, she sent me a selfie while she was cooking, but behind her disinterested smile, something caught my attention. Hey, Cheryl, did you invite someone to your house?
What? No, why do you ask?
I saw Cheryl's selfie again, and I was very confused. From the kitchen, you could see her room, and it looked like there was a silhouette staring from it, looking at her from the darkness. Listen, I don't want to alarm you, but look at your picture. Doesn't it look like there's someone in your room? Cheryl took a few seconds to answer me. I'm sure she was checking the picture.
OMG, I think it's a piece of furniture, but it looks scary. I don't know if I want to go check it out.
Are you sure that's a piece of furniture? Maybe you should call the police. Cheryl didn't answer me for a while, so much so that I started to worry. Hey, are you there? You're worrying me.
Here I am. I just walked into my room, and it was just a piece of furniture. Although I must admit that I'm very scared. The piece of furniture doesn't look that much like the silhouette in the picture.
When I saw the picture, I was confused. It could be a trick of the light, but I wasn't sure. I don't know.
I just checked the house. I'm definitely alone.
Well, I'm more relaxed, but be careful. After that, Cheryl kept cooking, and we didn't bring up that topic again. Unfortunately, this would not last long. The next day, as soon as Cheryl came back from work, she told me she was back home safely and sent me a selfie of herself smiling. In the picture, she looked worried. She must have had a bad day. I tried to give her a pep talk to calm her down, but something weird was going on. She wasn't responding to me anymore. As the hours went by, I became more and more worried. I looked at her picture constantly, and in it, there was something I had not noticed. From the window of her house, someone was watching her. This was no coincidence. It wasn't a tree or someone just passing by. This was a person standing at the window of her house, staring at her. Immediately, I received a message from her. When I read it, I can swear my heart stopped. In the message, it said that someone had kidnapped her, but she still had her cell phone. She shared her location and sent me a picture via Snapchat to show me where she was. It looked like she was in a car. She knew the streets where she was going, and she was a few kilometers away. That day, I was at a party at my house with my friends, so I asked them to call the police and I ran to where she was. I could have told them to help me, but I knew it could be dangerous and I didn't want to involve them. After all, the gathering was at my house, and just in case, I always kept a gun to use in case of an emergency. As the minutes passed, I somehow felt like I was catching up to a moving car. I guess the car was moving pretty slow, but I was running like never before in my life. I had to save Cheryl. I would never forgive myself for having the chance to help her and not doing so. After several minutes, Cheryl stopped moving and she sent me one last picture. It looked like a dark alley with a gray door in the middle. Surely this was where they were going to hide her. I ran the last few blocks and in an act of stupidity thought I could save her alone, so I entered the alley. I approached the gray door I had seen in the photo and opened the door. But before I could enter, I heard someone walking behind me.
It looks like Romeo came to save Juliet.
I turned around, pointing my gun in the direction of the voice. But when I saw who was in front of me, I couldn't believe it. It was Cheryl. She was safe, looking at me with a cocky, playful smile. Suddenly, a man came out of the gray door and threw me to the floor, pulling out my gun.
Did you bring a gun? What were you gonna do, Indiana Jones? Kill us all? Cheryl, run! Run while you can!
Something was wrong. Cheryl wasn't running away, but it wasn't because she was afraid. She was laughing. Cheryl?
Boy, I have to admit, it's really sweet that you came to save me. It seems I chose well. I've always been good at judging people at a glance.
What are you talking about?
Sorry for the rudeness. This is John, my boyfriend.
Nice to meet you, Felix. Cheryl tells me you're very athletic, and you don't drink alcohol. Is that true? What?
Excuse me. John is quite abrupt, but these are questions we need to ask you. We need to know how your organs are.
What are you talking about? Let me go! You see, Stud, Cheryl and I are in the business of selling organs on the black market. In this warehouse, we have a few tools to keep your organs looking like new. Do you know how much they offer them on the black market?
A lot of money. And we've only done it with bums. Your organs must be excellent.
No, please, I beg of you, let me go!
Hey, I've grown very fond of you in these months, Felix. I'm not doing this for the money. I want to have a souvenir of you.
With a huge smile, Cheryl pulled a pocket knife out of her pocket. Quickly, she took off my slippers and socks, and coolly, she put her knife to the little toe of my foot.
Are you ready, beautiful?
No, please, no, please.
Before I could finish begging her, Cheryl ripped my pinky toe off with tremendous speed and precision. The pain was immediate. I felt myself starting to lose blood, and worst of all, I knew it was just the beginning.
Cheryl, stop playing. We have to go.
All right. But first, let me take out his eye. I'm not satisfied with just a finger.
Oh, come on!
With the knife in hand, Cheryl slowly approached my eye. Her smile was shining. She looked so excited and happy, and I could tell she was having a good time. Suddenly, Cheryl froze still, frozen in fear. Someone was holding a knife to her neck. John stood up and tried to get into the house again, but 4 other men stopped him, threw him to the floor, and started hitting him. They were my friends.
Felix, are you all right?
Isaac, what are you doing here?
Come on, we have to get you to a hospital. We'll tell you later.
And that's how it all ended. Some of my friends took me to the hospital while others stayed with Cheryl and John. On the way, I could see several police cars heading toward the area. My friends told me that they didn't trust me and that they knew something was wrong, so they went on Snapchat from my computer and saw all the pictures Cheryl was sending. One of them knew that alley, so between all of them, they grabbed the knives from my house and headed there as soon as possible. After that, the police arrested the criminal couple. Apparently, they had already been charged with robbery and attempted murder, but nothing like this time. For my part, I still believe that one can fall in love through a social network, but for the moment, I prefer to date the girls that my friends introduce me to. At least, I know they're more trustworthy.